What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and it is time for turn 3 of 5.2's Eden fights. This is the idol fight. Nothing about what you see in this fight is a spoiler until you've seen the story. Like, you're not going to understand any of it, but the cutscenes building up to it and after it are what explains everything. So I'm not going to show any of that. I'm not going to show anything that really spoils the fight at all, to the best of my ability, but I will be showing the boss fight. So if seeing the boss is something you don't want to do, I'm 100% showing all the mechanics. There's only one mechanic that I think is going to really act as a gate for the general public on this, kind of just the average player getting through this week one. And so you're going to see people die to it until they get the hang of it. Gear doesn't fix it, so it's just going to take a couple weeks because I don't know that we've ever seen anything quite done like this in the past, and I've really enjoyed it. So let's get started. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that just like we've seen on previous Edens here, one of the tanks, whoever the main tank is, needs to stand off to one side. There's a couple waves we need to pay attention to. Empty Wave is an ability that can go out that's your raid wide. The Unshadowed Stake or whatever that is the reason the tank needs to stand off to the side. That's the laser beam. We've seen that before. And then when we start to talk about motion is the predominant thing here. So just like we've seen in the past, they're going to show one set of columns and then another set of columns. And they're going to go off in the order that they spawn. So the first one goes off and then the second one goes off. And simply follow the pattern and don't stand there. Now we're going to add portals. The first time they do it, if you just stay in the front, it doesn't matter. But you'll notice that that left one is going to hit the red portal and then the right one is going to hit the blue portal. In the first time, the portals are only in the back of the room, but as soon as the second one goes off, the third one will be the red, and then the fourth one will be the white. Like I said, if you stand in the front on the first one, you'll be fine, but the next time around, there are portals in every single row, so you need to pay attention to which column is doing which, because they will go off with the first one being right here, and then the second one being here, and I am standing in blue because the third one is going to be red, and then the fourth one is going to be blue, so I need to back up into a red row. Once you kind of catch that pattern, it's just about kind of spinning around enough to note which color is going to be safe, and then you'll be fine. Now we have this neat slide mechanic. Basically, the thing at the end of your little slide rod is where you're going to land. Make sure that that remains on the platform or you'll die. But other than that, it doesn't really seem to be anything too concerning. Thought it was really fun though. It always seems to be directional based on which way you're facing. Then, of course, with most fights, don't stand in bad. There's going to be some stack mechanics. If you stack those both on top of each other, everybody dies. So try to split evenly. Other than that, you'll be fine. And then from there, we're going to start aspecting. If you're purple, you take additional damage from purple and reduced damage from white, and vice versa. So basically, stand opposite. And since this is filmed on day one, you're going to see some people who this was their first run, and so they didn't know to stand opposite. This was in my second run. So I'm purple, I stand in white, I'm going to be fine. The people who get it wrong are going to die. And then we're going to get a chance to do it again. As white, I now need to move into one of the purple columns, and then we're good. That's really it. There's some ads. We tank these separately. I don't know if there's a penalty for tanking them together. We tanked them separately because you're going to get a slide. It always seemed to be a slide in reverse. So I just found basically angle myself where I'm aiming out to the middle of the room, so I don't really have to pay attention behind me. They both drop these bomb rings. You shoot backwards. Try not to at least be clipped by both, preferably not clipped by either. So you'll see I can kind of run into this little safe zone, and then as the one that was tanking one of them, I need to go back to mine. But basically, they both need to be melted before their little explosion ability goes off. There's going to be some don't stand in bad right after the bomb things, and then you can group them together, burn them down, then group up, because for the transition, we're all going to take a little raid wide, and we're going to go back through with way crazier stuff now. So now we're doing aspects and portals. So I am in white, and that is going to turn me purple. So I need to pay attention to what color the purple is going to be in. And so the purple is going to be in the blue. You do still take damage, just reduced damage. So ideally I would have been a little more healed up. And then I need to go ahead, and now I am purple, and so I need to go move to white. So because it's 3 in a row, you've got to pay attention that you're changing colors every other time. Now our slides put us in those kind of comets. Make sure that at least one person is in those comets to soak them so they don't go off, and then go back and fight the boss. And from here, it's basically rinse, repeat. I am not going to show you the final cutscene or anything like that. Turn 3 and 4 were way more spoilerific than 1 and 2, and but really only the cutscene for 3. Like, the fight didn't make sense if it just come up in a roulette and you didn't have the build up to it, as opposed to turn 4 was just spoilers all the way through. Even showing the boss, it's all they just did a great job immersing you in things we knew, versus, you know, sometimes like the new dungeon, for example, where you're just seeing things. So if you don't have any context, the character models that were chosen for the dungeon, a Niter, don't really spoil anything on their own. So with that, guys, basically, if you can get the purple to white transition and you can understand the portals, this fight is easy. That is the hardest part. Not really a DPS check, except for your first couple pulls, probably, because everybody's DPS is a little bit reduced as they kind of get used to all the movement. So as people get used to the fight, but literally our DPS went up pull over pull. Nobody's getting new gear or anything, but you could literally feel the ads burning faster. You could feel the boss going down faster every single pull that it took us, because in both my groups, because everybody's getting comfortable with the amount of movement in this fight and where they can be to stand optimally. I felt like I didn't have to move very much. I took a break between 5.1 once I got through my 5.1 stuff until 5.2, so my rotation I know was garbage, and I could feel my rotation coming back, not only as I just, of course, got back into playing Warrior, only having done a couple fights before this one, but also just as I had time to focus on my rotation because I wasn't focused on not dying. So hopefully that makes sense. My name's Chris with Work to Game. Go out there, crush this fight, enjoy all the cutscenes, plan on it not just being turn 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a lot between them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.